This is Wavering Withers. Withering Waver. No, Wandering Wonders. Okay, hold on. Alright, it's Wuthering Waves, which makes about as much sense as anything else I've said. It's what's known as a gacha game. Not gacha as in I got you, but gacha as in the Japanese word for the capsule vending machines that give you a random toy or figure. They are so named because these games generally involve some element of randomized rewards, either using in-game currency, real-world currency, or some combination of the two. I'm new to gacha games. Aside from dabbling in Genshin Impact for all of maybe 15 minutes, I've really never played any other gacha game before in my life. And I'm quite the avid gamer, having about 550 games currently in my Steam library and having owned dozens of consoles over my lifetime with games for all of them. In total, not including emulation, I think I've played roughly 1,200 to 16, maybe 1,800 games in my lifetime. If you include games I've emulated, that number goes up quite a lot. I used to play a wide variety of games, from platformers to RPGs, sports games to racing, puzzle games to point-and-click adventures, RTS to MMORPGs. I played any and every game I could just because it was a video game. But now I've matured, and I know what I like and don't like. I tend to stick with a limited selection of games, settling into what I know is most likely to give me that maximum gaming joy. But I've been hearing a lot about these gacha games and thought I'd at least give one of them a shot and see what all the hubbub is about. And here I am with Wuthering Waves, whatever that means. I'm Fox with RealMarcFoxx, your vanguard of the gaming, grifting, and gooning brigade. Roll the intro.
You've had your fun, but enough is enough.
It's got that typical Chinese-style anime aesthetic, complete with beautiful cel-shaded visuals, which I'm actually a huge fan of. The cel shading, not as much anime aesthetic. I'm fine with the anime look as long as it's done well and doesn't lean too hard into the whole anime vibe, but this game actually does. Whatever, I'll go with the flow, or rather, I'll ride the wave if you know what I mean. Despite having lived and worked in Japan for over 3 years, I never really got on the anime train. I don't know why, it's just anime has never really appealed to me all that much, although I don't actively dislike it, it just doesn't hold my interest most of the time. The only anime series I've actually watched is Attack on Titan, and I haven't even finished all that's out there yet. There's a lot of story in this game, like a lot. Too much. We'll talk more about story, dialogue, and cutscenes as we go, or at least the latter two things. Starting out, the game is surprisingly easy. You can just button mash your attack and get through the battles, but let me say this, that's deceptive, and we'll get to that later too. The game does a decent job of introducing you to combat and basic gameplay mechanics, though I found myself confused as to what all these items I'm collecting do, and boy, do I collect a lot of items in this game. You activate beacons that serve as healing and warp points, which are immensely useful for, obvious reasons I shouldn't have to mention. At this point, I went into the menus to see what settings were available. Surprisingly, the game has quite a few default filters you can apply. I went with the Vivid filter, giving the world a brighter, more colorful appearance. Seems to fit well with cel shading, and I like cel shading. I maxed out all the settings, except of course I turned off motion blur, because as we know here at the Real Gamers Brigade, no real gamer uses motion blur.
That's true.
Oh, and get ready for lots of Chinese names. They didn't bother localizing most of the names, which is fine, but I really don't know how to pronounce most of them. I have extremely limited experience with Chinese, only knowing how to say a few things, and I don't even really know how to read the Romanized or English alphabet version of Chinese, so a lot of these names, I don't know. After breaking through the introductory tutorial segment, there's a ton of stuff to do, which shouldn't be surprising, it's a gacha game. Events, daily quests, a podcast thingy that I don't really know what it's about, and much more. Plenty of things to keep you going day after day, including seasonal events or timed events. Combat is simple at first, with a little more complexity added over time. You've got a basic attack, a special attack with a cooldown, a summon slot to allow you to summon defeated monsters with special abilities, and then a super attack that becomes available at some point based on... I'm not really sure, actually. I'm pretty sure it's just like the amount that you attack enemies, you build up the meter, and then you can do it. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. In addition, you can dodge, sort of parry, and a few other cool things we'll get into later. The world seems pretty large and is well detailed. Looks great most of the time, and may remind you of the art style in games like Zelda Breath of the Wild or Immortals Phoenix Rising, except I prefer it to both of those games. I'm surprised how good the game looks, to be honest. The characters and enemies look excellent as well, not just in quality, but in artistic direction. You will find plenty of monsters to fight roaming about, as well as random wildlife that you can either leave alone or kill for meat. There's even a cooking mechanic to make yourself helpful recipes, because we all know cooking mechanics are fun. In all honesty, they can be fun, and it's useful if you can cook stuff that you can use to heal yourself or give you a bonus of some sort, which you can do that in this game. I haven't unlocked too many recipes, but the ones I have unlocked do seem like they would have some really cool utility in battle. Oh, and you can swim. That is really cool. So many games feature water, but end up making it nothing more than a barrier that you can't go into or cross, or they make it like an instant death pit. I think we're all tired of games where going into the water spells instant death. What legendary badass warrior is there who doesn't know how to swim and just sinks like a rock to their death? I mean, come on now. I've not encountered any underwater combat yet, which is probably for the best. Few games do underwater combat well. The different characters you get access to all play a little differently, but not massively so. One character I got to play as during an event used guns from a distance, and her special attack had her jumping over the top of an enemy while raining bullets down on him. It looked and felt awesome. There are different types of attack damage, which I'm sure will be relevant depending on which enemy you're fighting, but I mainly just stuck to the first character I had access to because I'm lazy and didn't initially care to learn the others. You can freely swap between 3 of them as your party, fighting as one at a time. If one dies, another will take your place. You only ultimately die if your entire party falls. And hey, this is Fox from the future, just to let you know that I have started to encounter enemies who are actually immune to certain kinds of damage. So it is important what kind of damage the character you're using actually has, because I found myself having to switch to a different character so that I could do some damage to this monster rather than just keep seeing the immune message pop up. Characters have lots of defining attributes that have confusing terms like Ascension Phase, Union Rank, Soul 3, which doesn't stand for shit out of luck. At least I don't think it does. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. How to progress can be a bit confusing as you're locked at certain points until you ascend, which requires raising other factors or doing stuff. Union level isn't character level, as that's a separate thing. There is an actual character level per character. I'm sure once you start figuring it all out, it'll just make sense, but until then, it's confusing. At least it was to me. I'm a gacha noob, guys, okay? Give me a break. Oh, and did I mention this is an online-only game? I haven't actually played with any other players, which I think you can do, but I haven't done it yet and haven't seen where. But yeah, despite being mostly a single-player experience, it has to always be connected to the internet. I played several hours of Withering Wanders on my Steam Deck, requiring me to set up a hotspot via my phone. It would occasionally drop connection, giving me a message that it's trying to reconnect. If you don't have a connection, you can't play. This kind of sucks because if you have something like a Steam Deck or a phone and you're trying to take it on the go, then you lose connection because you're traveling halfway across the world, well, you just can't play anymore. That would include being on an airplane if you don't pay for that ridiculously expensive Wi-Fi package, or if you're in a car driving through one of those areas that doesn't have good cell phone coverage. Though I'd hope that if you were actually driving the car, you wouldn't also simultaneously be playing Withering Waters. Speaking of which, the game runs pretty well on the Steam Deck with some settings turned down and FSR on. I was getting generally between 30 and 50 some FPS depending on the complexity of the area I was in. On my dedicated gaming PC, it ran extremely well with no upscaling or frame gen, often at 100 plus FPS. I had pretty much everything maxed out with the aforementioned motion blur turned off because I'm a real gamer. I hope you are too. Turn that motion blur off. I'm running this on an AMD Ryzen 7 9800X 3D, 32GB of DDR5 RAM, RTX 4080 Super, and an NVMe SSD on Windows 11. And if you're not a PC gamer, you might not know what any of that shit I just said means.
What did you just say to me?
And that's fine. The game gets much harder at a certain point, belying the initial impressions that it was an easy hack and slash. It has some Souls-like elements, though it's not a Souls-like per se. Parries, perfect dodges, healing at checkpoints, positioning, etc. Though in this game you have special abilities with cooldowns and others that require stacking up an energy-like resource to unleash. You can customize and build up a variety of characters, some of which are simply free and given to you early on. Others either cost in-game currency or real money. This is a gacha game after all. I made it a point to play it for a while, but commit to not spending any real money on it, at least for a long time. I don't imagine I'm going to spend any real money on it at any point in time, especially if it's just to get, well, an outfit for a character that doesn't change anything. My intent is not to spend any real money on Withering Waves at any point in time, but we'll see what happens. Don't be confused by the early game. It's more a tutorial than an introduction to the game's actual progression, as it spikes in difficulty rather quickly. I liked the game when it got harder and found it way too easy early on. They should probably ramp up the difficulty more gradually rather than go with a sudden spike, although that may actually be partially my fault, because you can go to a whole bunch of different areas, you can do different quests, and the game will warn you if you're going somewhere where you're likely not ready, so maybe that's what I did and just ignored the warning. Upgrading your character, weapons, and collectible monster summons is crucial to doing adequate damage. Bosses will often serve as a kind of level and gear check, making it take far too long to take them down with unupgraded gear. Auto selection of upgrade components makes upgrading easy, as there are tons of items in this game and it can get very confusing very quickly as to what does what and what's better than what. I had no idea, I just always went with the auto upgrade option. Not surprisingly, since the game is designed for mobile phones primarily, the PC interface can be odd and confusing at times. Basic functions are often hidden deep in large menus with big button interfaces. This is for touchscreen ease of use, but doesn't jive with a PC on controller or mouse and keyboard. And yes, controller is supported thankfully, as most third-person games like this play best with one. You can definitely use mouse and keyboard if you want to. I remapped the dodge from the right bumper on the gamepad, which is R1 to you PlayStation boys out there, to the B button, because, you know, souls. That souls muscle memory just kept kicking in and I'd hit the wrong button repeatedly. At first this doesn't matter, you'll beat the early enemies easily. Later though, it's crucial to learn to dodge and parry properly. One thing I don't like is that parrying is the same as the basic attack. You time a basic attack right as the golden circle shrinks to match the inner golden circle. This is fine, but having it as the same basic attack makes it difficult to time, as you have to stop attacking and wait to make sure you time it correctly. It's also very possible to inadvertently get parry timings by pure coincidence if you're simply mashing the attack button, but this isn't consistent enough to rely on in harder fights. It definitely needs a dedicated parry button in my opinion. There's just so much stuff to collect, upgrade, expand, slot in, etc. that it gets very confusing very early on. It's hard to keep track of everything and it doesn't necessarily explain it all. This is the kind of game where you want to watch a basic tutorial on YouTube to make sure that you're playing it right. You know what I mean? You know that kind of game where you're like, well, am I spending these properly? Am I slotting these things in right? Which of these echoes, which is the game's summons, should I use? Some of them have bonuses, and which one really matches this character? Should I go with this type of damage or this type of damage? I better go watch a YouTube video to figure this out. And I hinted to it earlier, it's time to talk about cutscenes and dialogue. This game has an excessive number of dialogue and cutscene segments, which fortunately most can be easily skipped. There are a ton, and while I gave the story a chance at first, it just didn't keep my interest. I started skipping it all pretty early on. Sometimes you gotta skip multiple cutscenes in a row, one after another after another. Sometimes you skip a cutscene, walk to a character a few steps away, and then another cutscene initiates. Could we stop doing this? No point in giving me control of a character just to walk a few steps to start another cutscene. Just go on, have the whole cutscene play so I can skip it all at once. Other times you go through a dialogue cutscene. It goes back to control the character, and your next action is simply to start talking to the same exact character again. The one still standing right in front of you. Why? Just skip to the end of the whole dialogue segment. Don't have a dialogue cutscene occur, let me skip it, and then tell me that my next action in this quest is to talk to the exact same character right in front of me. A cool feature that they added is when you skip an important story segment, it gives you a small text box summarizing what happened. I feel like they added this just for people like me. I'll read a short blurb, but I won't sit through long cutscenes that don't interest me. Cool, huh? Now, trolls on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, accuse me of not having a long enough attention span for cutscenes. That's not the case. It's about whether the story and presentation is worth watching for me. I've read Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged from start to finish, and that novel is immensely long. Many novels will have word counts in the maybe 75,000 to 150,000 range. Atlas Shrugged is about 645,000 words, making it one of the longer novels that wasn't written centuries ago. I've read the first Dune book 3 times, and I've watched all the cutscenes in games like Expedition 33 and Stellar Blade. Keep me interested with a good story, and I'll stick around. Have a drab, bland, cookie-cutter story, and I'll start skipping it. Not an attention span issue, but an interest issue. But feel free to accuse me of being a low attention span kiddo in the comments section below. And for comparison, my novel is about 125,000 words, and a link to my novel on Amazon is down in the description. When I first launched Wuthering Wivers on PC, it flashes this brief launcher that stays on my screen for like less than a second before disappearing. Then, a couple seconds later, the actual game launches. This gives the appearance that the game tried to launch and then instantly crashed. Bit sloppy on their part, for sure, but bad first impression there. To get into the game, there's a tap here option at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, tap here on a PC. Most people don't have touchscreen monitors, so it's totally out of place to tell PC gamers to tap anything on their screen. I mean, come on guys, would you tap that? The voice acting is sometimes decent, but other times it's abysmally phoned in.
Yang Yang, what brought you here?
Hey, Grandma Lynn. We're here for some stories today. And here's our new friend.
My character would often audibly narrate what she was doing, down to the simplest, most painfully mundane detail. The voice actress could not have been less enthused to read the lines either. It's got that typical minimal effort, don't give a shit kind of presentation.
Part of the score holder just lit up. As I expected. The drum over there seems to have unlocked. A bell just raised out of the water. So that's what it meant by having the bells guide my path.
The narrator for some of the unskippable cutscenes does a better job, but is trying too hard to sound intense. He's obviously trying to make it sound interesting, but in a very amateurish way. This would be great for a casual YouTuber making videos at home, but for a game of this scope and financial impact, it's way out of place and feels cheap.
After the fall of their leader, the remaining soldiers despaired, until the deafening roar of Qinlong struck like lightning. A lone youth bravely stood up to lead a hard-won retreat.
I encountered these absurd names for useless NPCs, like this guy named Elder Listener. Why even name this guy? It's just clutter on the screen. He's simply window dressing to make the city look alive. No need to clutter the screen with stupid names. Oh god, there's even a middle-aged listener and a young listener. Now, it might just be an inside joke on there, but I honestly can't tell and I'm starting to like it. Now, if you try to skip some bit of dialogue and some of the cutscenes, it'll warn you not to, with an option to disable the warning box. This box keeps coming up after every restart of the game, even if you enable it the last time you were in it. It must be re-enabled each and every time you boot the game up. May I ask why? Why doesn't it remember this setting? Oh, and another problem with the game is, if you actually close out of the game by going to the exit option, it will for some reason forget both your username and your password, requiring you to enter them both again when you launch the game. So, if you actually simply just close out the window, or, use Control-Alt-Delete to close it, it'll remember your username and password. So, obvious problem there. I don't know why this hasn't been fixed yet.
Now the water is all gone. One last note to go.
Oh boy, is this voice acting brutal to listen to at times. You see why I skip it now? It's not bad enough to laugh at, and not good enough to enjoy. It's in that horrible mediocre middle where it's not worth mocking, nor worth actually listening to. So it's just so, as the kids say nowadays, meh. Now the music, that can be really good on the other hand. Sometimes quite invigorating and intense, emotional and riveting. But I'm not a fan of the traditional style Chinese theme in the main city in the starting area. I unfortunately associate that style of music with great looking but cheap game experiences pumped out by Chinese game dev farms. You know there's a ton of those. Great graphics, painfully mediocre gameplay. Withering Wonders fortunately has much better gameplay than mediocre. Not the best in the world, but not bad by any means.
My gameplay is too bad. My gameplay is too good. Well, my gameplay is just right.
At some point during the game, I got curious as to what wuthering meant, or if it was even a real word. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it's technically a real word, though an antiquated one. It means to blow with a dull, roaring sound. How accurate is that to the game? I don't know. You know I wasn't paying attention to the story. Can you tell me if this actually fits in the world of Wuthering Waves? Let me know in the comment section below. So I did mention this fact to my wife, and she said, yeah, of course it's a word. And I'm like, when have you ever heard it? Her response was Wuthering Heights. Well, I had no idea what that was, so I looked it up on Google. I used an incognito browser because I didn't know if it was porn or not. So apparently it's a novel that she's read. She's quite the avid reader. I used to read more than I do now, but she's still doing that reading thing. Just now as I'm writing this, she's sitting outside enjoying the sun and reading a novel. Isn't she amazing? Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? Because she's hot. I can see her sweating. That sun is blazing. Anyway, you can climb up stuff in this game, and it's not at all like Zelda Breath of the Wild. Definitely not nearly identical down to the circular stamina meter that slowly depletes as you climb. Oh crap, I'm not gonna make it. Oh shit, help. well, that's it. Oh wait, I'm fine. There's no fall damage in this game. Fall as far as you want, you're good to go. And speaking of the recent Switch Zelda games, you also have a hang glider in this game, which is not another ripoff of Zelda. To be fair, Zelda wasn't the first game to do it, nor did they invent the concept. It's a real thing in real life, so it's not fair to pretend Zelda's unique in having the hang glider. It's not. But that climbing mechanic looks and feels almost identical, minus that stupid, annoying slick rain nonsense in Zelda. I hated that in Zelda. You also have a grappling hook, which only works at set points. It's useful though, and it can really help with traversal at times. The fact that you can jump, glide, climb, grapple, swim, and run makes traversing the world so much easier and so much more fun. You feel like you can just keep cruising, like nothing's gonna get in your way, nothing's gonna stop you. You develop that stride, and nothing is gonna break that stride. At one point, a quest has you follow flowers that appear and guide your path. The cel-shaded anime style is very well done. At the end of these flowers, you meet a new anime cutie who definitely doesn't look underaged. It's okay guys, she's not real. So I skip the dialogue as always, and she joins my harem of characters, my parties. Oh, and your in-game dialogue name is Rover. I didn't pick that, because you can name your character whatever you want, but they call you Rover in the game. Can't get over how weird that is. Red Rover, send Fox right over. Why Rover? Maybe I'd know if I paid attention to the story, but I didn't, and that's my fault. I'll just deal with not knowing. It's the price I pay to avoid the painfully mediocre story. So I'm back to following the yellow circle waypoints with a star in the middle. That tells you where the quests are. Lots of waypoint following, which is, you know, fine, I guess. A lot of games do this, so whatever. Better than wandering around and being hopelessly lost. That'll make me give up on a game real quick. It's not a rage quit, it's just a boredom quit, or a confusion quit, or a I'm lost quit. During battle, you can use these really cool, powerful moves, and they come with these awesome super anime power animations. The animations are quick and flashy and never overstay their welcome. No Final Fantasy VIII 2-minute long summon animations here. Why does Squaresoft do stupid stuff like that sometimes? I meant Square Enix. Why does Square Enix keep making so many stupid decisions like that? Final Fantasy XVI had a quest where you go collect mud or wood or something. That's boring. So is a 2-minute summon every time you want to use it in battle. Obviously, you just stop using it to avoid the brutal 2-minute cutscene you've been forced to watch dozens and dozens of times. Yes, this is coming from personal experience. Anyway, toward the end of this quest, there's an ambiguously lesbian cutscene with raunchy overtones. I chose to watch this dialogue play out because reasons. Don't ask and I won't tell.
Getting angry, are we? Sorry, but it's just so much fun to rile you up.
And most of the dialogue options here include one choice. Yeah, just select the only dialogue response you have to keep it going. Why bother giving me a choice? Just keep it rolling. Don't make me click from one single dialogue choice. That's dumb. You know what else is dumb? Not buying this product from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by, I'm just kidding guys, I don't have a sponsor. I wish I did. I like money. I don't really need more money. I just want more money. For making more stupid, unnecessary purchases on Amazon so I can eventually just put that junk in the attic or sell it at a loss. That's fun. It's like a hobby of mine. So eventually I just skipped the whole dialogue scene. Even the ambiguous lesbian overtones couldn't keep me interested enough to endure that nonsense. In all honesty, it's not that bad, and if you're used to this kind of Chinese anime stuff, you might actually like it. Do you? Let me know in the comments below. Is this average quality for this kind of game? Below average? Above average? Sub-average? Side average? I have no idea. I'm not really into anime, and I've only ever watched Attack on Titan, as I mentioned earlier. That's it. Not even that super popular one, Dragon Ball Z, or One Piece's, or even Naruto. I haven't even seen a single episode of Death Note, nor watched Cowboy Bimbo. I have seen several of Studio Ghibli anime movies, though, like Spirits Away, Princess Monocle, and Howling Movie Castle. I was thinking of watching 2023's The Boy and the Heroine, but I don't want to expose my son to drug culture, so I passed on that one. So the game rewards you for all sorts of things you do. Just about every time I check the menus, there's some reward in there to claim, and it's pretty exciting. It's so fun claiming all those rewards. I get a ton of shit. Most of which, I don't know what it is or what it does, but it's still awesome because it's shiny. Makes me want to keep doing stuff to get more shiny unknown objects. The more, the better. It's like a casino that keeps paying out every time you do anything. Walk into the casino, here's a prize. Talk to the bartender, get a reward. Punch a couple patrons, more rewards. Fight the security guards, get some upgrade materials. Oh wow, my union level went up. I love unions. They protect employees while improving working conditions and making the company or government organization so much more efficient. And I get paid more too. That's cool. I want the strongest union I can get, know what I mean? In all seriousness, unions can be a mixed bag. Some are pretty solid and do good work, while others are just covers for radical left-wing activism. I'm not universally pro or anti-union. It depends on the specific union and how it operates and whether it's a front to push political and social agendas. But why are we talking about that? Why are we talking about politics? Back to Withering Waters. So I chase another yellow waypoint, all the while trying to get the best view of that cute little anime ass that I can, know what I mean? Really, actually not much of it. I'll be honest with you, I'm less impressed than I thought I'd be with some of the fan service in this game. My wife could put many of these chicks to shame. Then the world's most painfully, overly cute anime cutscene proceeds to play, and I watch it if for no other reason than curiosity as to how grotesquely cute it can get. That, and I literally couldn't skip it. It was mandatory. So that's really why I watched it, okay?
Please watch out. It's dangerous to run like that. Here you are. Hooray!
Well guys, that's about all the withering wonders I can stand right now. The game isn't really that bad, it has a lot going for it. I just have a limit to how much anime cutesiness I can deal with all at once. So we're going to pick up the rest of my adventures in part 2, which will be coming soon. I hope to see you there. Do me a huge favor, hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell icon, and follow me on X so you can get all of this wonderful, wonderful insight directly from me. And as always, my friends, stay real, keep playing, and never forget, yesterday's tomorrow is today's today. See you in the next one.